I knew if I always had sales and revenue coming in, I could fix the bad stuff. Most business meetings are a game of poker or a game of chess. You're interacting with someone in the negotiation process and understanding why they're doing what they're doing, why they're saying what they're saying, and why their body language is the way it is. And so when I'm in a meeting, I can see if somebody's interested, they're leaning forward. If they're not interested, they're leaning back with their arms crossed. I can watch the way that the gravity is the biggest thing. If their thumbs are up, or their eyebrows are up, or their chin is up, they're more interested. If they're like this, then they're up to something, or they're thinking about something, or they're trying to figure out a way to nullify what I'm saying. And so I'm watching all the human behavior tactics in a business meeting the same way I would at a poker table. That was the worst business moment in my life. It was called Black Friday. I remember Dan Bilzerian called me, it was 10 a.m., and he's freaking out.
Who's someone that you haven't connected with yet? You don't have their contact number, but you visualize, you affirm it into bringing into existence to actually connect with them.
Hi, it's Robin Sharma, and you're tuning into the Millionaire Student Show with Sashin.
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 Sashin. Sashin.
Everyone, welcome to another episode on the Millionaire Student Show, where I get the opportunity to pick the minds of this generation's thought leaders, change makers, disruptors, innovators, and inspirations. Dissect their story from the pain they went through, the price they paid, and what their prize looks like today. I formulated the Millionaire Student Self-Development System and company because this is what I was searching for when I first entered the entrepreneurial world at 17 years old. My mission and purpose is to serve you with virtual mentorship to consciously make your clock tick without taking the thunder away from today's guest. He is the youngest founder of a publicly traded company in history. At the age of 23, after selling $15 million worth of clothing in 6 department stores, he went out and surpassed expectations with his $9.5 million licensing deal with Starter Apparel. He launched the Who's Your Daddy energy drink into 55,000 retail stores. He later went on to launch Victory Poker, which became one of the top 5 online poker brands internationally. Along the way, he became a very active angel investor and advisor to more than 36 companies. As a serial entrepreneur, some of the successes he has had includes launching a media site to garner over 300 million views in the first year, a hoverboard company which did more than $5 million in revenue in 4 months, and multiple subscription box companies to over $48 million in combined sales. Currently, he works with over 600 influencers and manages campaigns for a variety of large companies. His passion is to make a living giving. Over the last 7 years, his charity creates backpacks for the homeless filled with 150 emergency kit items inside. The Millionaire Students, please help me in welcoming today's guest, who is one of the most connected individuals you've never heard of, with clients like Steve Aoki, the Kardashians, and many more. He is Dan Fleyshman. So Dan, thank you so much for being on the Millionaire Student Show today. I truly appreciate your time and you just being virtually here.
Thank you for having me. I'm ready for today.
Great. So Dan, you started extremely young. You started hustling to make money in business at a tender age of 4 years old. Throughout this episode, I want to dissect your pain, which is what you went through in the foundational phase of your life, the price you paid, and then most importantly, the prize you've manifested into existence. For those who have never heard the name Dan Fleyshman before, how did it all begin for you?
So we first immigrated here from Riga, Latvia. So we moved to Los Angeles, but we didn't have any money. It was very difficult. And so when I was 4 years old, I was working on a swap meet, buying and selling baseball cards. while my mom and father, they had a van, and they were selling Levi's jeans out of the back of a van every weekend at the swap meet. And so from 4 years old to 8 years old, I learned business because I was buying and selling baseball cards at the time. Then as soon as I got to school, I was buying and selling candy bars. My mom would loan me $20. We'd go to a store and I'd buy candy bars for 25 cents and sell them for $1. And I did that for years and years. And candy bars was my main thing. Everybody knew I was the candy kid, right? I was always going to have candy for them. And so doing those things helped make me still work so hard today. Those things, those little games, that business mind is really truly what helped me today. And since then, I've angel invested in 36 companies. I'm spending $60 million a year for social media with influencers and brands. Like every single day, I'm constantly working and focused. And because I always remember back then, I always remember not having money. And so that's why when people ask me why I don't take vacations, I don't want to relax. I like working. And I also don't ever want to go back to where I was.
I can definitely relate to that, Dan, because, it actually reminds me of when I was just 10 years old and selling WWE wrestling wallpapers, 12 when I was selling those mini finger skateboards. And then when I was 17, I started, going out there and making chocolate fudge. And, so I can definitely relate. But where did that desire to succeed come from? And how vital has it been to have that underdog advantage to start sales at a young age?
Yeah, the desire is deep inside of me. It's deeply rooted, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful that when my parents got divorced, my mom and I moved out, and we lived somewhere inside of like this 84-year-old lady's extra room. And I had no money. My mom didn't make any money. We were surviving on a couple of grand a month. It was just like those things of not being able to ever have shoes, like just those basic things. It's deeply rooted inside of me to want to keep working. And I think that's part of why so many people in our circle, I don't actually know any of them that inherited money or came from money. Like my friends and your friends that have $100 million companies and $1 billion companies, I actually don't know any of them that came from like a well-to-do family that just gave them a bunch of money and said, here you go. Most of them have a struggle. Most of them came from lower end to middle class that just had to work to strive, because I think you need that in business.
So, my parents also got divorced and separated when I was 2 years old. So once again, a lot of similarities. But, Dan, at 17 years old, you skipped high school, which the average 17-year-old should be in about grade 11, just finishing school. You started a business called Who's Your Daddy? And at 18, you licensed it in the UK for $9.5 million. How did that all begin? And what was your vision as a 17-year-old?
So my friend, my business partner, first started as friend, he kept saying that catchphrase, that Who's Your Daddy catchphrase, and people always laughed. They liked it for sports or sex or comedy, whatever they took it for, they liked the name. And so I had the idea, let's trademark it and put it on t-shirts and sweatshirts and hats and make it fun. And so we went to a clothing convention. We did over $1 million in orders in our first convention out of a little 10-foot booth. Then we got that $9.5 million licensing deal, and it all just went from there. So as that money came in, we went through the roller coasters of life. It wasn't all easy. A lot of people try to take advantage of us. People try to overcharge us for our clothing samples or our warehousing or our shipping. There were so many things that happened, but due to our main focus was always sales, sales, sales. I knew if I always had sales and revenue coming in, I could fix the bad stuff.
So in your early 20s, Who's Your Daddy was making products for about 3,000 stores. At the end of the day, for you to scale your company to 3,000 stores, you definitely had the right team, the right leadership, structure, as well as a clear and concise vision. So there's two questions to this. Did you have a business partner, and which you said yes, but most importantly, if so, how did they take you serious when you had no credibility? And most importantly, talk me through your level of leadership, the ability to scale, as well as your vision in your early 20s.
So I had to create credibility because I was always the youngest guy in the room. Whether you're 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, you're always going to be the youngest guy in the room. Even in your 30s, you're going to be the youngest guy in the room in most of these big rooms. You try to sell to department store chains or grocery store chains or any of these big type of companies, most of these people are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And so I had to earn credibility, and I earned it by performance and sales and successes. So that when I walked into these rooms, I said, I'm distributed by Budweiser. I'm in 55,000 stores. Our peak was 55,000 retail stores. I'm explaining, I'm with Costco or 7-Eleven, whatever it is at that time, I'm always edifying myself and my business in the first minutes. Because what it does is it changes the narrative in the room. When you walk in and you're 19 years old, what do they think? Oh, that looks like my son. That looks like my like it's a kid. But in that first minute, when you tell them, I'm already in this chain store, or I'm already selling to your competitor, or I've already raised this much money, I've already done this much sales, it changes the narrative and flips it on them.
And what most people don't understand is you were in your 20s, but you had a 30-year-old, 40-year-old mindset. Why? Because you had that advantage of starting early. And if people that are listening in right now can't make that because they may be a bit too mature in age, they can make it on self-development. Because I know both of us do programs in the self-development world that they can truly make that up in the advantage.
So learning from people that already did it will help change your life. Because think about it. Let's say that you and I, we're both playing a video game. And you and I have played the video game for many years. And then somebody that's 19 years old wants to play the same video game. Well, guess what? You and I have played that game for half a decade or 2 decades. And so we know where to duck, where to jump, where to move, what's going to happen, who's going to sue you, what should you do, who should you work with. Like, we know the game because we lived it. So there's no way a 19-year-old can play the game the same way we can. It's just not fair because we've played it for 5, 10, 20 years. Well, that's what a book is. That's what an online course is. That's what a video course is. It's guys like you and I teaching them the game that we lived and breathed. Now, can they make adjustments along the way and try some tips and tricks? Of course they can. 19-year-old is probably slicker than us and think they know things. But the game is the game, right? The fundamentals of the game are always going to be the same. Their tips and tricks can happen along the way. But you and I have lived it for 5, 10, 20 years.
So when we played those games, and I want to be able to make people understand, we always research cheat codes and to advance in life. And in this case, the cheat code is a mentor. The cheat code is someone who's already walked the path.
Exactly. So I'll give you another example. Let's say we walk into a forest and you just see a ton of trees and it goes on for tens of miles. Okay. We get to the forest and there's 2 different lanes. One lane, completely full of trees, but you think you can see something down that way. The other lane, we already chopped down the trees and it goes on for 5 miles. Well, who's going to get down there faster? If you walk down the path that we already walked down and we already chopped the trees down for you and told you which way to go, where to turn, what to do, that's going to be way easier than you trying to just walk through the trees and think you know where you're going and fight all the struggles. We already paved the way for you. And so I think people need to realize that the mentors, the books, the video courses that you can learn from, those are people that already paved the way and can tell you the course.
So eventually you became the youngest person to take a company public at 23 years old. And, you beat billionaire Dell Inc. founder Michael Dell by just 1 year. I mean, firstly, for those who are watching or listening in right now that don't understand what the terminology about taking a company public means, can you elaborate on what that process was and what did it mean for you?
Sure. So it's about 2 years and $2 million on average of cost to go public. And that cost is usually legal, accounting, auditing, preparing your documents so that you can take in money from the public market. Usually you need to have an investment banker help you set it up. When I say usually, I would always use an investment banker because you don't want to try to do it yourself. So an investment banker helps you create the paperwork, and then you choose whether you're going to go on NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange, OTC, or in Canada, the UK, and Australia, they have their own exchanges. In that scenario, you're now allowing people all over the world, and mostly in that continent you're focused on, if you're doing UK, Australia, Canada, etc., to be able to invest into your company at scale. Whether they want to buy $20 or $20 million, they can buy it in real time and never have to talk to you, and vice versa. They can also share it or sell it in real time without ever having to interact with you. What that allows you to do is sell stock from your company out onto the market through investment bankers, fund managers, and the public, and be able to take in some capital to be able to help fast forward your company. It gives you what's called a liquidity event. And it makes the people that invested in you before you went public have liquidity of their shares. Now, they can't sell it for the first 6 to 12 months, depending on the contract, sometimes 2 years. That's called a lockup period. So let's say you invested in my company 4 years ago and now I went public. The lockup period would start the day I went public. So your shares would wait 6 months, 12 months, or 2 years, depending on how our original deal is structured. Why it's important? Now you have an asset that you can use to trade, acquire companies, do crazy deals, sign endorsement deals. Let's say you couldn't afford David Beckham before because you couldn't afford to give him millions of dollars in cash. Well, now you might only give him $100,000 in cash, but $2 million in stock. See the difference? The stock doesn't physically hurt you. You're just getting a slice of the pie to David Beckham that you couldn't afford otherwise. And so being a public company is a headache because there's so much paperwork and so much accounting and so much auditing and so much public scrutiny. However, it's a huge advantage because of how big you can become and how liquid your asset is.
You know, that's actually a definitely historical moment in your life, because for entrepreneurship and to those listening in right now, I want you to develop that me too factor. I mean, if Dan can do it, me too. And, you know, you had fame and fortune, which is two things that can truly make or break someone. And you've definitely utilized it to thrive. What kept you so grounded, humble, and hungry?
So what kept me grounded is I actually saw and watched other friends of mine or other people in the industry. I watched their empires crumble, or I watched them pass away, or I watched them lose all their money. And so I realized I was never going to get into drugs. I've never tried a drug in my life. I was never going to be drinking. I just wasn't going to do the things that I saw hurt and cripple so many people, whether it was athletes or rappers or other friends in the business space. They just made so much money, and then boom, it would just, in the blink of an eye, I watched them all go away. And so that helped keep me grounded. A lot of times you may not have friends that happens to, but you can read about it in the news. You know what happened to Allen Iverson or Mike Tyson and all these people back in the days. Those stories on the $100, $200 million level happen all the time on a $2 million and $5 million level. And so that was something that I always kept in mind. Other part was, humble-wise, I just know where I came from, and I know I don't ever want to be in that situation again. And so that's why I'm constantly working. That's why I stay focused on this way. And I also don't need to impress anybody. I've had the same watch for 12 years. I haven't owned a car in 6 years. I don't need to own a car to impress the people. I want to invest into a car company. I want to invest into a watch company. That's cool to me, right? Owning another flashy watch or owning another car. I literally haven't owned a car in 6 years.
So today you're an active angel investor and you've advised and invested in more than 30 plus companies. What's your decision-making process on which companies to invest in, and how should people actually start?
Sure. So we get around 300 to 400 pitches, and then we determine about 4 to 7 companies per year. So it sounds like when I say 36 companies I invested in, it sounds like a lot. That's been 6 or 7 years. So it's really only like 6 companies a year. I want to invest in more, but I'm so picky about the companies I invest in because I really want to make sure I pick people that are going to fight for me. But not me just fight for them. I want them to fight for me. What I mean by that is I don't mind if they pivot. I don't mind if they go through struggles. I don't mind if it takes years for them to make money. I just want to know that they're going to work morning, noon, and night. And so the main thing I look for is the person. I'm looking for the quarterback. I'll be the coach. I'll be in the background. You don't need me all the time. You be the quarterback. You be out on the field. You just come over to me when you need me, or I'll yell out something when you need me. I need the quarterback to be willing to die out there. I need them to put it all on the line. Because if they're willing to fight for the game, that's all I can ask for. But if they want to take breaks and they want to go drink Gatorade with their friends for 2 hours and they don't want to practice, they don't want to practice before the game, they don't want to work out, they don't want to study the plays, that's not the entrepreneur for me. And they're less likely to win. So the next part is I need to understand why. Like, why? You're going to be the 901st energy drink? You're going to be the 800th water company? You're going to be the number 32,000 clothing line? Why? Why does anybody care? Like, why? And I want to understand it from them and from the industry. Why do they think it matters? Right? If you just say, I'm going to make really great looking blue jackets, well, there's a lot of companies that make great looking blue jackets. Why? Why is yours different? Is it vegan? Is it higher priced, lower priced? Is it shipped same day and come with magical unicorns? Like, why is it so much better that that blue jacket is so good looking? But why? Why does anybody else care? And then how? How are they going to actually do it? Like, how are you going to make those blue jackets famous? How are you going to get out there and compete with all the big companies that also make blue jackets? And so I'm trying to understand the person, the why, and the how. Everything else can be filled in, but this is all part of the passion in their minds and hearts, because entrepreneurship is hard. This is a morning, noon, night, every single waking moment. It's the thing you always think about. And so I need people that actually feel that way about entrepreneurship.
So you eventually started to own, one of the top 3 online poker companies. And I know poker is a game similar to chess. And I personally learned how to play chess at 6 years old and then went on to play nationally in Africa. But both games bring out the visionary in you as well as allow you to study people's behavior. How does poker translate into the business world for you?
So most business meetings are a game of poker or a game of chess. You're interacting with someone in the negotiation process and understanding why they're doing what they're doing, why they're saying what they're saying, and why their body language is the way it is. And so when I'm in a meeting, I can see if somebody's interested, they're leaning forward. If they're not interested, they're leaning back with their arms crossed. I can watch the way that the gravity is the biggest thing. If their thumbs are up or their eyebrows are up or their chin is up, they're more interested. If they're like this, then they're up to something, or they're thinking about something, or they're trying to figure out a way to nullify what I'm saying. And so I'm watching all the human behavior tactics in a business meeting the same way I would at a poker table.
So as much as you had prosperity in the foundation of your entrepreneurial journey for starting off early, you also went through adversity too. And it wasn't as smooth sailing as it sounds and the internet portrays it and social media portrays it as. You proved not to be immune to failure and adversity when you went through your test, which formulated your testimony today. Talk to me about when the FBI closed down the 3 of the biggest online gambling companies and yours being one of them. What went through your mind and how did you innovate and continuously disrupt to elevate in your life?
That was the worst business moment of my life. It was called Black Friday. It was April 15th, almost 10 years ago. And all of a sudden, so mine didn't get shut down by the FBI. My competitors got shut down. So by default, I became the #1 site in the world. I didn't want to win that way. They got shut down, and it was such a scary moment because I was like, wait a minute, what did they do? What happened? What billions of dollars was seized by the government in 16 different countries? It's all over the news. I remember Dan Bilzerian called me. It was 10 a.m. And he's freaking out, and all these poker players started calling me, and business people, my mom. Everybody's calling me like, what's going on? So I found out what happened was they were miscoding merchant transactions. So let's say you deposited $500, it would say PS3. I deposited $200, it would say mattresses.com. And so Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they were miscoding the transactions with these credit card companies, which was very, 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 very bad. Mine was at Wells Fargo, and it just said Victory Poker. I didn't get in trouble, thank gosh. In that moment, I had a big decision to make. Do I want to just remove myself from the US and stay focused on Europe and Australia and Sweden, all these countries, Canada, I was doing great in all these other countries, and become one of the biggest poker sites in the world still, but not take in US players? Or do I just pay everybody back and close up shop, which is what I did. The reason I did that was I had 41,000 real money players at the time, and I didn't know what was going to happen with the government or my competitors. And so I wanted to be able to sleep at night and not risk something happens to their money, because their money got seized at all these other sites. I paid everybody back within 4 days. And that helped change my life. That horrible moment set me up forever because I became the good guy in the space. 3 major online casinos and land-based casinos hired me to consult for them because I just lost everything. I lost a $65 million company in seconds due to my competitors' nonsense. So I get hired by 3 casinos. I get hired by Morgan Stanley to consult for them for a year. I start getting these big hirings. And most importantly, I realized I never want to have all my eggs in one basket ever again. I was all in on this one company. I was living in Malta with a backpack and a dream, building a big poker site. And all of a sudden, when this goes away, what do I do? So now that's why I invest in so many companies. That's why I have so many things moving and shaking all the time. In case something happens to one of these things, I'm never going to be all in on one company ever again.
And I've been studying people that are on the Forbes list. When you look at Bill Gates, he's got over 4,000 streams of income. Warren Buffett has 2,400. Branson has 400. So what's going to hurt the average person from just having 7? The average millionaire has 7 streams of income today.
I think it's critical. I think people need to realize your job should be your main base, right? Whether it's your own company or your own business, or if you own a restaurant, or you're an accountant or a lawyer or a doctor or a real estate agent, your job should be your main base flow. However, as money's coming in, you've got to take some of that money to put into other little businesses to help generate income for you in case something happens to your real estate job, attorney job, doctor job. We all think we're all safe, but then something like coronavirus happens and then boom, the whole world shuts down. So in order for that to be protected, you've got to protect the castle. So having a job or having your one core business is important, but then finding, even if they're small streams, an extra $100 a month here, $500 a month there, $240 a month here, it all adds up when you start thinking about it. Wait a minute, that's $1,200 a year, that's $6,000 a year, that's $3,000 a year. It starts to become interesting. And if you can scale those each year, all of a sudden your side businesses or your side incomes can be bigger than your core business.
And exactly like that with scholars, people who are studying, education is your plan A. You got to diversify and find a plan B as fast as possible and not just put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes, while you're studying, that's critical. There's still a few hours a day that you can do your side hustle. Listen, even if it's just 3 hours a day, 3 hours a day is 1,000 hours a year. It's a lot. You can do a lot of stuff in 1,000 hours a year on the side. So if you're focused on studying and you're learning for 4 years or 6 years or 8 years, that's awesome. But at nighttime, if you're not allowed to have a job, you don't have time to actually go out and get a job. If you're flipping sneakers on the side, or you're selling t-shirts on the side, or you're tutoring other people about Spanish, or you're tutoring them how to play guitar virtually, those couple hours a day of extra income will help you, and it'll clear your mind to focus on your studies.
So Dan, you have mastered the art of marketing, branding, and connecting. And the internet says you are probably the most connected person with influencers. I've seen you associating yourself with a few powerhouses, and people find it very difficult to connect and network. What methodologies have you developed to connect with almost anyone?
So the main trick I have is I do things that are experiences to make them want to come to me. And so I throw live events. I throw charity events. By creating experiences, it makes them come to me. And so by doing that, I can call on anybody I want. If I throw a business event and I call on speakers, I can call on the biggest speakers in the world. Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, Lewis Howes, Gary Vee. They all will come speak at my event. And now what happens? I can build a relationship. If I throw a charity event, I can call on the biggest influencers in the world, the celebrities, all these big rappers, musicians, athletes. I can call on all these people to come to me. That's the huge advantage. And so choosing the niche that you're in. So let's say you like makeup or real estate, whatever it is that you're into, throw a small event in your town, and it gives you an excuse to call the biggest people in beauty, makeup, real estate, etc.
So with relationships, they say your network is your net worth. How do you add value and gain trust of those who have the credibility and influence in life?
In order for you to add value to them, you have to provide either information, experiences, or access. Those are the things that are intangible that they can't just go buy themselves. What that means is they can't just go buy the same info, access, and experiences that you can provide. If you're going to go give them a coffee, that's not something that they need, right? When you say, hey, I want to buy you a coffee, I can buy my own coffee. But if you say, hey, I'm throwing a charity event and we're building a school in Ghana, whoa, that's cool. All of a sudden you stand out from everybody else offering to buy me a coffee or pick my brain, right? And so think about what you can provide. If you're really good at graphics, arts, make a design for someone. You're really good at making beats and sounds, make an opening intro for your podcast. You would open that DM, right? You would open that message if somebody said, hey, you've got this great podcast. I made you an opening track. It's 30 seconds. You're going to love it, blah, 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 for free. Here you go. You're going to never forget that person because now every time you do a podcast, you're using their 30-second opening beat, right? And somebody else, they designed the cover of your podcast for you. And then now you want them, right? You remember them because now you're using their design all the time. And so sometimes just using your skills and providing that value to those people, now you've built a relationship that they can't forget you.
Hey, I want you to take a quick split second of your time. All I want you to do is hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. I want to update you when I have a next iconic guest on my show. Stay in student mode.
Hey, it's Dan Fleyshman. You're tuning into the Millionaire Student Show with Sashin.
So once an entrepreneur bridges that gap of trust and value towards an influential person, how do they utilize that influential person to create awareness and attract more eyeballs towards their brand or even their company?
So you have to find reasons for them to post about you. Meaning they have to want to post about you or your business or your brand. The way you do that is you make it about them. And by default, it's about you. Let me give you an example. Most podcasters, they make a grave mistake. They send out the video to the guest. So let's say you interview Gary Vee, and you send them a video, and it's you with the first 20 seconds introing Gary Vee. Never going to post it. It's not about you. It's not a knock to you. He's still in the video for 40 seconds out of the 60. But because the opening is 20 seconds of you, not going to post it. 1, ego. 2, the fans won't like it because they don't know who that person is. They don't know who that podcaster is introing them. 3, the algorithm knows our faces. So if somebody else's face at the beginning of the video, the reach is going to get cut because people are not going to be liking and commenting because they can't see all the problems there. It's natural for us as the podcaster to want to just send them our interview. We're introing them. Hey, here's Gary Vaynerchuk, or here's Andy Frisella. By doing that, we're messing up everything. So flipping the script, making that value about them, making everything you do about them makes them want to post about you. So if you make the video in its first 14 seconds and it's Gary Vee talking or Ed Milet talking, well, what happens? They post about it, and then there's 30 seconds of you, right? The fans will continue watching. But in too many, and that's just an example, too many scenarios, we don't make it about them, we make it about ourselves, and we wonder why they don't want to post about us.
So it costs people $0 to create an account with any social media platform today. And both you and I know people who have made part-time, full-time, as well as a killing off their social media following. There are people who also feel it's too far-fetched since they haven't had a taste of digital success. Where should they start, and how can they personally create traction on their social media as well as start to become influential?
So the first thing is to build omnipresence. You have to have an account on every major platform. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You want to be on all the major platforms. However, create and focus your content on one of those platforms and then repurpose the content on the other platforms. The best way to grow is to make good content and have people like it, comment, and share it. If you and I like somebody's content and you and I share it to our Instagram stories or our Twitter, what's going to happen for them? They're going to get a bunch of eyeballs. If they don't create the good content to begin with, you and I can't share them. And so creating good content is always going to be the core of it. Then sending that content to potential people to post about it. Whether you have to pay a small amount for that, or hopefully they want to post it because it's really good content, and that starts the snowball to become an avalanche.
So we both have a mutual friend, Ty Lopez, and with Ty, it all began with the right marketing and branding. His Lamborghini in his garage video went viral with more than 70 million views just on YouTube. How did you personally help him take it to another level?
Yeah, I was talking to him at 1 a.m. last night. So Ty, what I did with there was I took videos about him and his contest. Remember, for 17 weeks, he gave away a car every Friday. I took videos about his car contest and videos about himself, explaining what his business is. And those are called edifying videos. They're explaining who this person is so that millions of people that hadn't seen Ty Lopez could be aware of who he was. Now they become intrigued. So they see a video of him with a Lamborghini or in the garage, big fancy mansion, but then also statistics. He's done this many in sales, or has this many books, or has read this many things, or has this many watched minutes, or the second largest book club in the world. All these stats were coming out in this video that was triggering emotions. Cool Lamborghini, cool car, but also backing up with stats. Biggest book club in the world, all these different things. And so what we did as our agency was we paid lots and lots of accounts to post about him to get more eyeballs on him and his brand, and then he could later monetize that. Some people do it just to get famous. Some people do it to monetize. Some people do it for both. In his scenario, both mattered. The more famous he got, the more courses he could sell, the more people he could help with his information, the more people he could get to read books, the bigger his book club got, the bigger everything happened. And think about it. Now he's scaled. He's acquired 4 companies that have all done hundreds of millions, if not billions of sales just this year. I mean, he bought Modelo Sporting Goods just last week. That's a billion-dollar brand. Linens and Things, Pier 1 Imports, Franklin Mint. He bought 4 of the biggest companies on the planet stemming from social media.
So what's your checklist when creating viral content?
So the first 5 seconds is the most important. That's the determining factor if people are going to keep watching. So that has to be the hook. That has to be the clickbait. That has to be that scene that's like, wait, what is this? And then once I get them in, now it gives me a chance to go viral. Next, I need things that stand out called a pattern interruption. So when you scroll through social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., you're scrolling through, you're seeing a lot of the same things. Selfie, selfie, cool car, selfie, cool car, hot girl, selfie, buff guy, selfie. Like you're seeing the same thing, right? Over and over and over. Pattern interruption is something that stands out. So that's why Elon Musk's flamethrower is firing out flame. You're going to stop, right? Because you just saw 8 selfies in a row, and then you see Dan with flame going out. You spinning around on a little bicycle, like going crazy, or you jumping out into a pool. These are pattern interruptions. And so the reason those type of things can go viral, one, it's emotionally stimulating, it's mentally stimulating, and hopefully it's interesting enough for us to share. The way you go viral is by people wanting to share your content willingly.
So Dan, let's dissect social media algorithms. If your content gets enough traction, which is views, comments, and likes, within the time frame, you beat the algorithm, which positions you to go viral. So Instagram's time frame is about 2 hours, Facebook is 24 hours, YouTube is about 48 hours. How do you personally combat algorithms?
I'm always trying to figure out ways to make people want to engage. You can't force them. Too often people have an ask in their caption. They ask every single time, so people become numb to it. If you always ask, leave 3 hearts, or give me a 2 thumbs up, and you always ask that, well, at some point people become numb to it. If you mix it up and ask for it, especially on the important ones, I'd rather you not ask for it on your main day-to-day videos or your photos, but then when you know a video is really good, that's where you ask for the engagement. And by asking for the engagement, you can create virality by beating the algorithm, because if you get a bunch of likes and comments right out the gate, Instagram knows that you normally got 1,000 likes, 1,000 likes, 1,200 likes, 800 likes. But this one got 4,000. It's going to show it to the rest of the people, the rest of the world, because of the consistency at this rate. And so I'm putting in content and asking for engagement only on specific types of posts. The ones that I know are extraordinary, that's the one I ask for engagement, because I don't need 1,000, 2,400, 800, 1,200, 4,000. The 4,000 is not going to go crazy if I have these random ups and downs. I would rather be 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, and then 20,000, because I want that special content is the one I want to go viral.
So what words do you then stay away from that could potentially affect the algorithm?
Sale, discount, link in bio, percentage off. Anything that shows a way for someone to leave Instagram or leave a platform, it's always going to get the reach throttled, because Instagram doesn't want you to leave. Facebook doesn't want you to leave. So if there's a link, if there's a sale, if there's a discount code, Instagram knows you're just trying to sell them or make them leave. They don't want that. They want the money. They want the time. They want the awareness.
So as much as people should be distributing their content on every platform out there, we tend to notice the trend of a brand new digital marketing app like TikTok, who has absolutely no manipulation in the algorithm. And then, a few years ago, it was Instagram, and prior to that was Facebook. But which social media platforms right now are the most effective for people to start off on?
Yeah, so TikTok is the one that's allowing people to go viral. And their algorithm is fascinating, because sometimes they'll do a very boring video. My wife has a video where she's just touching a wall, and she got 1.8 million views. That was the whole video. There's no punchline. It was just her touching a wall. I filmed it in one take, and just her touching a wall. That's it. Whereas other content, we spend 4 hours preparing for and filming, editing, graphics, and it gets like 3,000 or 10,000. So just putting out content and making it good, and thinking about what does a platform need for virality. So on TikTok, they tell you what videos of the week are going to go viral based on their hashtags. Okay, cats is going to be at 100 million this week. Broken laptop is 242 million. Funny foods is at 1 billion. Well, you can make a video for each one, and you're just trying to hit the lottery. But you have a big advantage where most people use hashtags just to use hashtags. If you use the hashtags that are relevant to that week, you have a really good chance to winning the lottery because only so many people are playing that game. If you try to use the word pizza, well, everybody's using the word pizza, right? But if it's this week, it's pizza boy or pizza delivery guy is the hashtag, and you make it for that during that time frame, you have a much better chance because only so many people are entering that lottery compared to the normal pizza hashtag. Everybody's entering the lottery.
And that's so ironic. And I just want to pause here because you're a man of your words, and I'll tell you why. A while back, you put a Twitter post of you driving by, of people standing in a line to actually go out there and buy a lottery ticket because there was this huge, giveaway and, huge prize. And in actual fact, that went viral for that specific week.
So it was fascinating because the video, by definition, was boring. It's just 600 people standing in front of a line in front of a liquor store. Your 4-year-old daughter or your nephew or your uncle or cousin could have taken the exact same video because it's just a video of people standing in line in front of a liquor store. The reason it went viral is the timing and the very simple caption. The caption just said, these people are willing to wait a few hours because the prize is $600 million, where normally it's only $200 million. That's it. So all I was saying was normally $200 million is not worth their time, but $600 million is. So it's not that funny. It's like a 4 out of 10 on a funny scale, but it was simple and easy to read and understand. And the video was very simple for people to understand what's happening. But most importantly was the timing. If I posted that same video right now, nothing. I would get like 46 views because who cares? It's just a normal lottery week. But in that moment, during the mega jackpot, where the news and CNN and everybody around the world is going crazy over the lottery, that's why I ended up with 17 million views, because everybody was focused on it. That was the thing. That's all they cared about. And so lots of people could take the exact same video, but you need timing, execution, and caption.
So it's natural to get hate as well as to be rejected as you climb your way up to the pinnacle, because dogs don't bark at parked cars. So with eyeballs on you, your brand or your company, you develop good and bad publicity. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs who are either going through hate or haven't experienced it yet, but are about to as they scale?
Hate is always going to happen. It doesn't matter if you're Beyonce, Jay-Z, no matter how big you are, people are going to hate you. Oprah has hate. Ellen has hate. People think Jay-Z sucks where the rest of the world thinks he's a god. Like it happens no matter what. No matter how good you are, people will hate. They talk crap about Tom Brady, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. These are heroes and legends that have all the championships in the world and broke every record, still have hate. Does that make sense? So because of that, you have to think to yourself, well, if LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and Beyonce and everybody else can deal with the hate, why can't I? And I say that because they achieved the biggest greatness in the history of the world. They've broken hundreds of millions of records. They've broken every championship. They've made billions of dollars, and they still have hate. So it's not about you. It's about your haters. Does that make sense? You getting hate is not about you. If you go and donate, you and I go right now, we say, you know what, we're going to donate $100,000 each to charity, okay? Today, you and I both right now say, we'll donate $100,000 each to charity. We will have haters that say, oh, well, they didn't donate $150,000. That's an actual statement. Like when Jeff Bezos donated $97 million to charity, $97 million to the Australian wildfires. People went ballistic. Media went crazy saying he didn't donate $100 million or it's only some small piece of his net worth. There's thousands of billionaires in the world that donated zero. Thousands of them. And by thousands, I mean like 99.99999% of them donated zero. But we're ridiculing Jeff Bezos for donating $97 million or something to a country he's not even living in. So I say that because the hate happens even when you donate $97 million. So the way to deal with it is, mostly I turn it off. I don't feed the trolls. Because if you feed a troll, they get bigger and stronger. They get more excited because now you actually responded to them. I mute them and I block them and they disappear from the earth. They don't listen to it. Because as long as you know what you're doing is right. Now listen, if you did something bad, right? You did something really, truly bad and you did it on purpose, especially if you did it on purpose, you deserve the hate. You should reflect. You should think about it. And if you went out there and you were a drunk driver and you hit a small child on the street, you did a bad thing. And you should change your life and you shouldn't go out and drinking and driving, right? That's a different type of hate. But if you're out there and you're working and you go and donate $100,000 and people are complaining and talking crap and saying, oh, you could have donated more, or you're out there and you go onto a racetrack and you win 3 races in a row and people are talking crap because you just got lucky, well, that's different. You got to turn that off. And so you have to reflect on why are they hating? And most of the time, literally 99 out of 100 times, it's about them.
So how have you converted your haters into your followers?
I just do it by performance. They're going to have to like me because I'm going to show them that I'm going to keep winning and I'm not going to respond to them. I don't respond to them, ever. I don't need to explain myself to somebody that doesn't want the truth. They literally don't want the truth. If somebody says, hey, that blue jacket, that was made at a slave labor camp in Poland. They're like, no, wasn't it? It says right here, I can actually track it for you. My grandma made it in my house here in London. I can show you a video. Here's a video of my grandma making this jacket. Here's a video. Let's play the video. And you play a video of your grandma making that blue jacket for you by hand. They don't care about that. They're still going to say you got that from a slave labor camp in Poland. It doesn't matter that you show them a video of the truth of your sweet grandma making it for you. So I don't respond to them because they don't want the truth. That's not what it's for.
So Dan, what has become your superpower?
My superpower is networking. It's my phone. My phone is filled with people that are my fast forward button to anything that I want, or my companies want, or my investments want, or my clients want, or my brands want, or my influencers want. I have that in my phone. That's my superpower. The fact that I can interact with, hey, you want to make blue jackets? I keep bringing up blue jackets. You want to make blue jackets? I know the manufacturer. I know a warehouse. I know a shipping company. I know a web designer, e-commerce. I know your attorney to get your patent. I know your lawyer to do, I know your thing for every aspect of your blue jackets. That's my superpower, that I can do everything in fast forward based on the people in my phone.
I mean, a typical phone like this would cost around about $1,000, $2,000, but you've truly taken that value and, with all the contacts, with all the net worth, with every relationship you've built, that is a true value of turning your phone from a liability to an asset.
And everybody can do that. Every single person listening can do what I just said. My superpower is actually easy. I just relentlessly interact with people and provide value for them and network and make them want to interact with me so that when I do have an ask or I do want to provide value to somebody else or introduce them to somebody else, they respond. Anybody can do that. Anybody with a cell phone. It doesn't have to be $1,000, $2,000. If you had a $220 cell phone, you can figure it out. If you have a Wi-Fi connection and a smartphone, you can do everything that we're talking about today.
So building trust is the most important aspect of building a business. And, you work with many people. Just last year, I went to Los Angeles 14 times. Your name popped up since we have a few mutual friends. And I've only heard great things about you, which means you're a man of your word as well as a man of trust. For those who have a short-term vision and mentality, how vital is it for them to start thinking long-term as well as to develop trust as well as to maintain their reputation?
So reputation is critical if you want to stay in an industry. So the only time you're going to be able to escape bad negativity is if you leave the city, leave the state, leave the country, or leave your industry. If you like being in the music space, you can't go steal money from a producer, or you can't not pay your debt to the local record label. Or you can't pay, if you don't pay the graphic designer and he works with a bunch of other people, word gets around. It is critical, even if you take a loss to keep your name good, it is critical for the long term. There's plenty of times where I should sue somebody and I don't because I just don't want to go through the nightmare of it. However, that person is now blackballed, right? Because I'm going to tell everybody, hey, this person stole $600,000 from me. Nobody else going to work with them. Hey, this person said that they were going to produce for me and they were going to get it to me in 30 days. They never sent it to me. They took the money and then they changed the phone number. I'm going to tell everybody, hey, don't use that person. And so that's it. You can't ever let that happen to you. If you keep your word and you do what you say, listen, are you still going to have disagreements? Are you still going to have lawsuits? Absolutely. You're not successful if you don't have lawsuits. It's going to happen no matter what. Whether you do good, okay, or bad, you're going to have headaches and situations and disagreements. However, all you can do is be honest, trustworthy, do what you say, try to come through, work your butt off. If you do those things, you can sleep at night and you can have a way to defend yourself if something does come out later.
And that all boils down to values, because in your foundation, by working at 4 years old and doing what you did, that developed values in your life for you to actually keep your name, maintain your name, respect your name.
Absolutely. Whatever it is you're doing, you want to over-deliver. You want to study as much as you can, because by becoming an expert, you raise your price. You raise your value. Doesn't matter what you do. If you're someone that makes headphones, research everything about every other headphone manufacturer in the world. If you're someone that makes custom ties, learn about every other tie guy in the world. Learn about every lady that makes ties. Learn about every big company, small company. Learn everything about your niche, and it just raises your value. It impresses people. It makes people want to learn from you and be around you. It makes them want to hire you and refer you. Become an expert in whatever it is that you're doing.
In wrapping up with the last few questions, I know you've connected with many people. Who's someone that you haven't connected with yet? You don't have their contact number, but you visualize, you affirm it into bringing into existence to actually connect with them.
Michael Jordan. He's my number one favorite person of all time. His relentless work ethic. We have mutual friends, and I didn't have a reason to do it yet. But like, I have friends that are very, very close with him, or key executives at his company, the CEO of his company, and some great people around him, but not yet. And I visualize what it's going to be like when I meet him. I visualize if we're going to go golf together or play poker together. Like, I visualize like the fun of it to me, but I know at some point I will make that happen, even if I have to book him to speak at my event or I have to go whatever it is to do. And then the obvious answer for a lot of people is Elon Musk, because he's just so fascinating. However, I don't know what I would talk with him about, because I'm just so enamored by it. He's the real life Tony Stark. Like, he's the real Iron Man. And it's fact, nobody in history has ever had 3 multi-billion-dollar companies at the same time. And by the way, nobody ever will. And so it's fascinating to watch something like him. So even though he's somebody I would manifest, like I want to meet with and network with, my true passion is Michael Jordan.
The more times I came out to Los Angeles, I started to realize that you are one person away from connecting with someone who you truly want to connect with. And that's just so simple to know that all you got to do is build relationships with that one person who knows Elon Musk, who knows Michael Jordan, as you mentioned.
Yep. The networking like that is critical. And that's why I always say you have to be good to the people around them. They should be close with their wife or their assistant, their brother, their executives, like the people that are in their world. If you do good things with them, you become friends with them, and then the right moment happens, they will refer you. But you can't just become friends with them just to get that relationship. Otherwise, they'll weed it out.
So Dan, you wrote a book titled How to Set Up Your Business for Under $1,000. Where can they get that book from?
That's at buythisbook.com. Also, you can, if you want the ebook for free for all of your listeners, go to buythisbook.com and put in the code elevator. You just write in the code elevator and you'll get the ebook for free. Otherwise, you can get a paperback on it.
So we'll make sure that it's in the description for everyone to go out there and get access to it. Let's just say someone only has $1,000. What should their process be with starting, launching, and scaling their business?
So the great part is most everything to begin with is free. You can get your website's only 10 or 20 bucks. All your social media accounts are completely free. All your research is free. Getting set up is free. The things that are in the book about the $1,000, that's like your trademark, your corporation, those basic things that you need to set up your company. But think of it like a checklist. There's a 30-point checklist inside the book. And it's all the things that you need to set up shop. Set up shop is what I call it. Listen, you're not going to open up a restaurant for $1,000. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about setting up shop. How do you have a bank account, a corporation, a trademark, a website, social media accounts? Like, how do you have all those things for under $1,000? And that's what's important to people to realize is, back in my days, you needed $50,000, $100,000 in 6 or 12 months of time. Now, if you and I came up with an idea for bluejackets.com, we could be live tomorrow.
So in wrapping up with the final question, what does self-talk sound like with Dan Fleyshman?
Just get started.
Love it. Dan, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you being on the Millionaire Student Show, and thank you for just serving us. And most importantly, where can people find you? Where can people connect with you?
Every single day I go live at 100millionacademy.com. Every single day I post on social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on every single social media platform. And it's always all the same screen name. It's just at Dan Fleyshman. That's also important for you guys. Make sure you have the same screen name on every platform so it makes it easy for us to find you.
Appreciate that, Dan. Thank you so much.
Awesome.